Hi everyone and welcome back. I'm Sarah Brenchley and today I'm going to talk to you about allergies. So this is a really important topic because we're seeing allergies and intolerances seem to be increasing. So we're constantly being exposed to foreign substances in our environment, via our skin, our respiratory system, our lungs, our breathing, and our gut being the first line of defense to the outside world. Now, for most people, our immune system does a really good job at recognizing and eating anything that gets through. But for some people, the immune system basically responds in a over-the-top, inappropriate way. So the things that can create an allergic reaction, we call allergens. And that can be pollen, if you've got hay fever, it can be cat dander, it can be a specific food, it can be a food group, usually it's a food-specific food. It can be a natural substance, so something like histamine, which we make naturally and is naturally found in food. For some people, they can actually have a reaction to. Something called salicylates, which is found in lots of fruits and vegetables and herbs, and it's what aspirin is made from. So some people can have an allergy to salicylates. It can be a synthetic chemical or product such as a color, or it can be a perfume as well. So there is a difference between allergies and intolerances, and I see this where sometimes people get a bit muddled up. They say they have an allergy, but it's not an allergy. It's actually an intolerance or a sensitivity, and they're very different. So an allergy is an immune response, whereas an intolerance doesn't involve the immune system at all. An intolerance is usually that we don't have the specific enzymes to break down a specific food, or that your body is just overly sensitive to a specific substance. But the immune system isn't involved in that at all. In an allergy, the immune system mounts a response. It's reacting to something that is either inhaled and ends up in your respiratory system, or ingested through your gut, or absorbed through your skin. Now, what happens is your immune system produces an antibody called an immunoglobulin, or an IgE, and that's the same process that happens when we are exposed to a virus or a bacteria or a parasite. It's just a different antibody. But each IgE antibody can be very specific. So it means that you might react against certain pollens, not all pollens. It might be that you react to grass pollen, but you're fine with everything else. So it's really specific, which is why it can be tested. So you'll have a specific antibody for specific allergens. So you can be allergic to one type of pollen and not. You can be allergic to one specific type of food, but not another. And what happens is when your body is exposed to this allergen, your body produces large quantities of these, the specific IgE antibodies, but it might be it's the second time round that you get exposed to the allergen that might result in much more of an allergic reaction, which is really typical with bee stings. So you might have a bee sting, you react a bit, but the second time round you can be really quite unwell. So it can be much more severe than the first time because your body's built up the resistance and it's kind of gone into hyper-reactive mode. Now, allergic reactions can range from very mild, sniffy nose, to extremely severe and also life-threatening. And it can affect lots of different parts of the body too. So you can have hay fever, you can be sneezy, you can have a red, sore, scratchy throat, you can have runny eyes, runny nose, you can have allergic asthma where you struggle to breathe and there's a lot, you're wheezing. You can end up with lots of different types of skin rashes. You can end up with eczema. You can have vomiting and diarrhea. And they can usually happen really quickly. So intolerances tend to be a lot more chronic and long-term, or you react quite a time afterwards. Allergic reactions tend to be really, really quickly. The most severe form of an allergic reaction is what we call anaphylaxis. It can be life-threatening, where the tissues basically swell up, and that can stop you breathing. So there's usually a very rapid drop in blood pressure too. So you need hospital treatment, and you might be given an EpiPen, which is epinephrine or adrenaline in old terms, and that increases our heart rate. In allergy, there can also be a release of histamine. So I said this is a naturally occurring chemical. It's released when we're exposed to an allergen. So histamine is usually the thing that's behind all the itching and the sneezing, the bloating tummy, the nausea, the just feeling really crap. How you react is really unique to you. So a problem is that your body creates histamine. You could actually have a reaction to histamine as well, which means that your reaction could be even more severe. Now, the only way you could be diagnosed with an allergy is either through a skin prick test, where they actually put the allergens on your skin and see if you develop some swelling or hives, a rash, or a blood test where they will look for the specific IgE antibodies. And then if a food allergy is suspected, they will usually do a food elimination and challenge test as well. And that needs to be done by a trained allergy specialist. Hair tests do not diagnose allergy. So if you've had a hair test and it's come back, you have a problem with tomatoes, you're not allergic to tomatoes, it's an intolerance or a sensitivity, possibly. We'll talk about hair tests another time. But hair tests do not diagnose allergy. The only way you can diagnose allergy really is through an IgE antibody test. And then if it's food, do the challenge and elimination. So lots of children will grow out of allergies, but the best way to deal with allergies is actually just to avoid the allergen as best you can. You can use antihistamine medication, and there are some herbs that are fantastic as well. It really depends on what the allergy is and what your reaction to it is. Intolerances are, as I said, are much more slower to develop. They're considered chronic. You can have a threshold, which means that you might be able to have a little bit without any reaction, but if you kind of go over that threshold, so maybe, piece of cheese 3 times a week could be too much, and then you get an upset tummy, but 1 piece of cheese a week you're okay with. It might be you can't have any cheese at all, but unless you've got antibodies, it's an intolerance. So what's the difference, or what's the link between allergy and gut health? And it's a lot. So food can exacerbate allergies as well as being the cause of an allergy. If we aren't digesting our food properly, then that can also exacerbate allergies. An alteration in our gut bacteria has been found to be one of the leading reasons for food allergies. And also respiratory allergies such as asthma or rhinitis, when you've got the itchy nose and the runny eyes, that can actually be because your gut bacteria is not as balanced as it should be. It's really loads of really interesting studies out there showing that people with specific allergies have a very different makeup of our gut bacteria. And there has been tests where certain probiotics have been used to help, particularly children to actually overcome allergies. So there's been studies on peanut allergies using specific probiotics in a hospital allergy department, where they do the challenge and elimination, or they eliminate peanuts and then they start bringing peanuts in just a little bit at a time, and they're using probiotics alongside that to see if children can tolerate peanuts or grow out of their peanut allergy. So there's lots of studies out there. It's a really interesting field at the moment. A damaged or inflamed gut lining can also cause an overstimulated immune system. So if you have food allergies and also intolerances, it can actually be because your gut lining is inflamed and it's not as strong at keeping things in the gut as it should be, and things are being absorbed into the bloodstream that shouldn't be absorbed into the bloodstream. That's why you're having an immune reaction. If you have lots and lots of food sensitivities to the point where you think, what can I eat? I can't eat anything because I seem to have a reaction to everything. Whether it's an allergy or an intolerance, go and check for SIBO, because SIBO has been associated with multiple food sensitivities and food allergies. So it's worth just checking that, because if you fix the SIBO, a lot of the time the food allergies go, or the food intolerances go as well. So definitely go and get that checked. So here are my top tips if you have allergies and it's causing you a problem. First thing is, if you think you have an allergy, go and get tested. Get advice from a trained allergy specialist just to see, Is it an allergy or is it a sensitivity or an intolerance? And then avoid the allergen as best you can. Diet makes a massive difference. So it's not rocket science, reduce the sugar. Sugar can create inflammation in the body. Poor quality fats, the refined, really crappy fats, they can also create an inflamed gut. Eat a good amount of fiber. That's your food for your good bacteria. Lots and lots of plant foods. Up your plant food. So you're eating far more veggies, because they all feed the good bacteria. They provide antioxidants. The vast majority of plants are anti-inflammatory, and that can really help. You can consider supplementing. So things like vitamin C, quercetin, which is also found in foods, in onions and garlic and various other types of food, bromelain, which is found in fruit. They can all help to reduce histamine levels. Rutin as well, found in lots of plants too, and you can buy that as a supplement. They're anti-inflammatory, and they can support the integrity of the mucous membranes, which is basically the lining of your gut. There are some really cool herbs that can help. So nettle is fantastic. Baikal skullcap can really help with kind of allergic reactions. Reishi and shiitake mushrooms. Milk thistle, which also works on supporting the liver, and perilla, can all help with intolerances and allergies. They're antihistamine, anti-inflammatory. If you have a salicylate allergy, then don't play around with herbs, because the chances are you're going to react, because salicylates are found in most of those herbs. As I said, there are specific probiotics that can help, that have been shown to reduce allergic reactions. So Lactobacillus rhamnosus, LGG. The code bit at the end is really, really important. It's the difference between an Alsatian and a Chihuahua. If you wanted to have a massive, big guard dog protecting you, you wouldn't pick a Chihuahua, you'd pick the Alsatian or the German Shepherd. So the code, if you're going to buy probiotics, look at the code, really important. So Lactobacillus rhamnosus, LGG, and Lactobacillus paracasei, LP33, have been used in quite a few different studies. And they've been shown to reduce respiratory type symptoms and allergic eczema. But my best advice is go and speak to someone, get advice before you start playing around with any herbs or probiotics, because you could make things worse, particularly if it's a severe allergy. What else can I say is improve your gut. It's really, really important. It can be a massive difference. So contact me, let me know let me talk to you about how I can support you. We can improve your diet, heal your gut lining, get a good balance of bacteria, and it can make a massive difference to improving how you react to the allergens. So I am going to talk about food intolerances another time. And I'm also running a small 6 weeks, it'll probably end up being longer than that, to teach you how to do an elimination challenge diet, because it's really important that if you get tested and you don't have an allergy, you think it's a sensitivity or an intolerance, and rather than just giving up all dairy, it might be you just need to give up cheese. And it might just be you need to give up cheddar, but ricotta's fine. So rather than giving up a whole food group, you don't always need to. It might be a specific food within that group that's actually creating the reaction. So I'll teach you how to do it safely. I'll teach you how to do it properly, so that you don't have to just remove whole food groups if it's not necessary. So reach out if you're interested in that. I'll be telling you a little bit more about that in a week or two's time. So please remember, go and get tested if you think it's an allergy. Find out if it's an allergy versus an intolerance. If it's an intolerance, then I can absolutely help you. If you have multiple food allergies or intolerances, get a SIBO test and get that looked at, because then if you're with the SIBO, the rest of it might all disappear and you might be fine. And look at healing your gut, because there's such a big link between your gut and your gut bacteria and our immunity and our immune response, and the exacerbation or the creation of food allergies. So remember, if you have a well gut, you can be a well-being. Okay, the two go together. So give me a shout if you want to upgrade your gut in order to upgrade your life, and I'll see you soon. Take care.